The finish point, like where should your hand be? Should it be here? Should it be there? Like, and for years, you know, like major karate organizations have like almost like the latest kata update, and you have to go and pay your Windows 2022 update, and if you don't, your computer stops working, kind of thing. If you don't come to this kata update course, your black belt isn't worthwhile anymore, yeah? And so, you know, it must be this position, but you better come next year because it might be this position. Like, it's all obviously nonsense. It doesn't make any difference. And everyone's uniquely different, and that's what happens when you standardize kata. That there's one dogmatic truth rather than being a whole spectrum of truth. However, what I would say about this is that whatever you do, make sure it's consistent. That every single time your hand is in the same position, because what we're trying to teach ourselves or develop is body intelligence. And if you're sloppy with your movement, you're showing lack of precision, and therefore lack of control, lack of physical intelligence. And so, for me, index finger to your wrist, not because it's important, it's because it's easily checked. Is that the same spot? Yeah, that's the same spot. Every single time. Is that the same spot? Yeah, it is. Whereas if it's slightly low or slightly before, like there's, you know, there I know, like I've got the line of my wrist, I know my index finger's there, I know that's correct. Where if I'm thinking it's there, then, oh, there's no real marking. Do you know what I mean? Like nukite or any of these kind of movements where we have that connection, that body connection, elbow to your wrist, or whatever you do, this, like Sochin, exactly the same. This connection is easily checked if your elbow is on your wrist joint. It's just checked. Now, can you make a connection further up and down your hand? Of course you can. But is it precisely the same spot every single time? How do you check that? Well, just have that easy marker. Do you understand? For no other reason. Don't feel like you have to then, next year I'll be here and go, no, you idiots, it must be here. Who told you this rubbish? It's not important. What is important is that you're consistent. Okay? You know, like that kind of reverse engineering. Okay, let's make it something. You're pulling and you're kneeing and then you're striking and you try to reverse engineer it into something meaningful. When the meaning was originally block strike, that fast block strike. Now what we've done is we've taken that element and we've stretched it. We've made it more athletic, deeper, stronger, bigger. And so the application of this movement is being able to dart in quickly and then stop. And that gives you a skill set that will infect your karate in all other areas. But if you have to apply it, refer back to the original. This is the original. This is what it originally meant. This is why we're doing it now. We're marrying these two elements together. And if I did apply it, that would be the block, that would be the strike. I want to have the sense that when I make kosudachi, my shin is resting on my calf, and this is a fairly stable stance. Not open in any way. It's fairly stable. Shin to your calf, okay? So this is fairly closed, and this is kind of closed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to increase that tension. I'm not going to give away that tension. I'm going to increase it, rounding my shoulders more, making that preparation. And then from here I'm going to combine the opening of the chest to the rotation of the hips, the driving of the leg, to produce Uchuke. Then saying this is open, I'm going to prepare, and then I'm going to close this together. I'm going to open, and then I'm going to close this together. I'm going to close, then I'm going to open this together. So I get that synchronization. What a lot of you are doing is opening, rotating, rotating. Opening, rotating, rotating. And there's nothing there. You want to kind of take your time and make sure that, from this side, you get this compression, which is heel turn, and then expansion. Prepare, compress. Prepare, drive. Prepare, open. This, open, close. Prepare, drive. So you're synchronizing your leg, hip, and hands together, rather than this. And it's just upper body movement. So from this point, keep your center, be strict, create that tension, then hip and hand together. Create that tension, then hip and hand together. Create that tension, then hip and hand together. create, then hip and hand together. This 2, then hip and hand together. Prepare, hip and hand together before moving this part. Do you understand? Like that might seem a little bit stiff because I'm not doing it stiffly, but I'm doing it kind of very regimentedly. And once you have that, then you can rebound. So there's another idea that once you hit one point, it leads to the next. So you're hitting 1 point to lead to the next, 1 point to lead to the next. This round, 1 point to lead to the next. And you're kind of just adding your hip at the precise time. Do you understand? This was Ude Barai. Someone was kicking here, and you're blocking and throwing. Block, throw, throw. This was a throw. Now, what you don't want to do, you want to still have that sense. What you don't want to do is break your line. Imagine a kick's coming this way. It'll help you keep your back straight. So keep your back straight, keep engaged. Whichever way you do it, one-handed, two-handed, doesn't really matter, but keep engaged. Keep this engaged right the way through the motion. Center line. A lot of people break the line when they come up. As much as possible, you've made that engagement, keep that engagement right the way through. Don't break your line there. So originally in Bassai, it was always front leg move. So you were moving, blocking, striking, arm bar. What you don't want to do, and you'll see some people do it, they'll move the back leg. And this is disengaging your power. Like it's not so good. You can apply it in some ways, but generally speaking, whatever you do, you want that back leg to be the anchor. And so yeah, Bassai was this. When I first learned Bassai Dai, you always did this. He knee done the same, yeah? He knee down, you would have 1, 2, 3. Same feeling. Nowadays, not so much, because we've limited the amount that your front leg moves back to challenge your hips a little bit more. So if you can make Gaku Hamni without moving this hand, without moving this leg, then it's great. If you have to move it, front leg. Like I said, make sure you got control of your hips. Make sure you got control of that like snap. So you're snapping, prepare, hip and hand rotation. Snap, prepare, hip and hand rotation. Then from here, don't open this leg. Feel like you're sinking in. You're sinking in. You're starting to shift your body mass back into like almost like Hamni. If I was going to block it, it's a short stance, but if I was going to block it on Bri, I'd kind of make the same position. I'm bringing the hand up, and once I hit that point, I'm going to open into stop. And then these feet should be open. So you're going to recreate the same feeling. Elbows touching, knees touching, that feeling of connection, then open. Connection, then open. Connection, then open. So you're opening into stance. There's an awful lot of people who are opening and then falling into stance. So you're opening, fall, opening, fall, opening, fall, opening, fall. And there's no expansion from your core into stance. So be really careful about that. You have to take your time. When you are on this point, so my stance is on this black line. Actually, let's go in the middle. So, like these tram lines is like the outside of what would be Zenkusach. Center is my Kokusach, right? That's where my center is going. Be careful that, like SKIF, they step out. So the back leg goes out. Some some JK derivatives, some Shotokan derivatives, they'll step out this way. Now, I'd argue that's probably closer to the original. But generally speaking, Shotokan is just driving forward. So you want your body mass to be pushed in. So from this point, I'm going to push in. I'm going to push in. And then from this point, my center of gravity is like on the same line. My feet, of course, now I'm in Zenkusach, have moved to the outside of the tram line. I've gone from straight line stance to shoulder width wide stance. But try not to step out to the side. Drive your body mass in. Do you understand? Like originally, Bassai, you're stepping forward, you're stepping back into this low, you're blocking and taking to the side. Before doing this, right? So it was a different thing. You're blocking and striking. Blocking and grabbing. And that's why, Bassai, generally speaking, Bassai Dai not touching, Bassai Sho touching, Kanku Sho grabbing 3 different hand positions, 3 different applications. Bassai was this block, grab, take before moving on. But Bassai, we're just going forward. Forward and holding. Understand? Okay, last point. You've created quite a lot of tension here. The limiting factor is that back foot. If I had to create more tension, I'd have to lift that heel off the ground. That's what I'm going to do. As I lift my knee up, that leg's going to come off the ground, it's going to release. It means I can compress more. A lot of people are opening at this point. No, compress, 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 then compress more. And then from that compression, before you make a stop. You understand? So don't hit this point and then relax. Tense, 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 then relax on the kick. Snap. Have a sense of inner thigh muscles, pec, squeezing together. And so, like, any slow movement is much more about a slow chest or upper body expansion than it is about a slow hand movement. So let's just jump to this Manjigamai. This is a classic example. Like this Manjigamai, where we're coming up slowly in Bassai Dai, 80% fast, 70, 80. It's probably the fastest slow movement within Shotokan. If you think about it, yeah, most of this movement, most of it is fast. And the slow part is really this. From this engagement, like jacket on, yesterday we were talking about, from this engagement to connection with my lats. Same with my legs, right? So what I'm not doing is superficially, you can see the world of difference, right? It's superficial hand movement. Just like Hyan Yondan, this is a superficial hand movement, and this is about connection. Do you understand? Yeah? So, huh?
I didn't get the last one.
You didn't?
No, I didn't understand that one.
So a lot of people are Hyan Yondan. A lot of people, when they do slow movements, they think it's like they just do a slow upper body motion. So Hyan Yondan, I'm already in stance. So like that's just superficial. Whereas this body connection, where everything finishes at the same time, that's a little bit more connected and more body intelligence. Yeah? So this is the same. Like I want you to think about really this motion with my torso, with my body, is the slow part. The hands and legs kind of move fairly fast, and it's just the end part that you're finishing with your body. That connection at the end, connection. Do you understand? And this is no different. So I show it that way because that's the most extreme, but from here, you're kind of moving here, and really it's my upper body expansion that is creating that last motion. And it's from this upper body expansion, and I'm closing my back, and I'm opening my hips, and I'm kind of creating a bow-like feeling with my body to whip forward. So I'm creating this bow-like body with bow-like shape with my body in order to whip forward. Whip forward. Do you understand? Now that's a world of difference between that is only kind of upper body movement, rather than trying to use your body in this kind of like three-dimensional way. Not two-dimensional, like just your arms and legs, but three-dimensional. There's a whole host of things going on there. Do you understand? So I want you to try, so there's a couple of things. So from here, try to get that engagement, yeah? So hand and foot same time, engage, open your chest. And from that extreme point, then you drive forward. And back leg drive forward. Next one, don't overly prepare. Leg, hip, hand, together. Yeah? Leg, hip, hand, together. Before chest, yeah? And then from here, so what I'm doing there is I'm closing, opening, just fast this time. This one, I've opened, close, close, open, closed, open. It's kind of slow. The next two, close, open, is fast. But it's the same that upper body use with your stance. Yeah? So, I'll show you again. So from this point, actually I'll show you from, so from this point, have that expansion, contraction of your body. This thing. And you're using your body correctly to create these dynamics. You've got to feel like this is kind of coming up, this is kind of coming up. You're getting this compression, and then 3, 2, 1, go! That feeling. Do you understand? Okay, so of course, when you don't stop, you can hit a greater extreme. So it's like, I can stop here, but within movement, my arm can go much farther around, yeah? So this is the same, I can stop here, but within movement, I can create far more connection. This connection block, these four, I'm making this. Maximum squeeze. Maximum squeeze, within motion. Within motion, then block, and then go. Your deal with this. Cover, prepare, twitch, release for high shuke. The next one, keep this hand, don't let it fall. Keep ball of foot pivot. Move, make it empty. But it's like wrapping yourself around that point. Understand? Be careful about that because a lot of people are just sloppily falling in. Okay, a lot of people come and go straight away. No, from here, you're in Shizen, natural position, Shomendachi. Okay, leg and hip together. Leg and hip together. Now, there's a couple of ways to do it. You can do it this way, or you can do it this way. Either's fine. But either way, you're punching to your center line. The last thing you want to do is this. So the original of this kata Bassai, it was block, strike. Now that became that. But it never became that. Punch. Block. You understand? So kind of know what you're doing, make sure you're doing it. So from here, hip and hand in. Feeling. So from here, don't miss this point. Don't just come back to hikite. You're grabbing. And you're not grabbing out. Imagine someone's going to come in. So you're grabbing and pulling to this point. Before. So originally, this is Bassai, yeah? This is the original. So you first one you grabbed, then you did this is like punches. He punches. You're grabbing. You're opening, hitting. This thing. This one. This fist. So your wrist lock open, hit. 1, 2. 1, 2. Also, this one. Then maybe. This attack. Chinese martial arts was always 3-point attack. Yeah? 3-point attack. This 1, 2, 3. It was always 3 points. See Chinese martial art kind of like statues, always 3 points of attack. Block, strike. So this is no different. So that was the original. So let's not lose sight of that. This is a grab before you strike. Grab again. Squeeze, strike. Grab again. Squeeze, strike. Before you move on. Understand? So this sense that someone is going to kick you here and you're blocking and then somehow throwing it, and blocking and somehow throwing it is a little bit of a disservice. It's not the original. The original is Maegeri. So I'm facing this way. And Oscar's going to kick my gay. I block and strike. He goes there, he wants a second chance. Change leg. And he block and strike. And he comes there and he tries his left leg. And I block and strike. So there's shifting in. One more time, slowly. So I block into Hamni. Ude Barai, like normal. Like that's a normal block for my gay, yeah? One more time. So I block and then I'm kind of sweeping him in, because that's his motion. And I'm going to shift this way as I strike down. Like the idea that you pulled him over, you've opened his abdomen groin, and you strike into it. This is the original application of Bassai, and I think you should have that in mind. So from here, imagine someone's kicking you here, and you're blocking, striking. Someone's kicking you here, block, strike. And then all of a sudden, your dynamics of your hip is different. You're making ude barai in hamni, and then you're shifting into that spot. Your block, shift, rather than shift, hand only, shift, hand only. This is quite a different thing altogether. Do you understand? Yes. Okay. Next point, from here. Then from here, in original Bassai, this was coming in and round before coming round. This was the finish. So there's a sense of cutting in and stepping in before moving. So we still have that same feeling. Half step, without moving your center of gravity. This leg arcs round, inside the stance. Before shifting round, then this keep where you are, block, and then driving in Shotokan before finishing. So how you use your hips, how you use your stances is very prescribed, rather than just. You understand? This squeeze, release, squeeze, before you come back. This kind of thing. Okay? Step basically means putting your foot underneath your center of gravity. A half step in Zen snatch, a half step in Kokut snatch are different because your center of gravity is different. So this is like, right, it almost is a half step. But from here I'm going to put my foot into my center of gravity and I'm going to block. And I'm going to maintain that point. And then in a basic way, you're going to squeeze and then shift your body into that spot again. And then where you finish is where you finished. Where that last inch is, that's your center of gravity is your center of gravity. But that's a world of difference. A little bit exaggerating that, but that's a world of difference between like big, I mean, not that I'm kind of particularly fond of the embused and the importance of embused. It's a construct for competition. But in this case, it's quite a good tell. What are you doing with your shifting of your weight? And the last thing you want to do when you're going to step forward and block is lead with your head. Lead with your head. Lead with your head. No. Lead with your kamai. You understand? Basic is feet together, block. So your center of gravity hasn't moved. Now I'm not the only one to do it like this way. I'm in good company. A side sensor used to do it this way. So from here, you kind of keep your center of gravity a little bit where it is. You wouldn't even shift it anymore because if you bring your foot together, you've shifted your weight a little bit that way. And so I don't want to do that. I want to maintain my center line. So I wrap my body around that center line.
Yeah.
Now, here I'm in basically Shizentai. And then from this point here, the force of my shuto is creating that shift. And then back to where I started. So
you're just pushing with the back leg there, just a little bit to move yourself in
it's
that
a little
direction.
bit more nuanced than that. Like when you do it at speed, you're a little bit yoriash.
Yeah.
But yeah, in essence, you're shifting with your back leg in.
Yeah.
But you're shifting from this point and allowing that to create the movement.
Yeah.
Before
It's that
you
Yoriash I hadn't seen before, so yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But feet together block is basic. Dong dong is more, cutting, a bit more kind of control of your centre.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? No? All good? Yes. Okay, what I would say is that, there's maybe quite a lot of information I've given you there. Don't ever think Bassai Dai is boring then. Brown belts, don't ever think, I've had my fill of Bassai Dai. I'm sure you've had the fill of the shapes of Bassai Dai, but the nuance, the kind of precise movements, the clarity of movement, it can take a lifetime to master. Kagawa Sensei, one of my instructors, when he took his 8th dan, he did Bassai Dai. And that kind of happens a lot, like these kind of guys who come to take their 8th dan grade and they go, I'm going to do Bassai Dai, because they did it for Shodan and they do it for Hachidan. It's quite a nice circle, yeah? So, so don't ever think you've had enough of it. I know, I'm going to go big, I'm going to do Kankudai for my Shodan. Because if you do, then you're probably missing a whole host of nuance and technical importance within the kata that takes a lifetime to achieve. Okay?
Puss.